going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So we have a ton of new information regarding Captain America, Iron Man and the other characters, but I want to go a bit more in depth with Captain America and Iron Man, but we got some really interesting details to go through. Now, first and foremost, just a fun little fact. We of course know that Hulk can of course go ahead and grab enemies, but it has now been confirmed by Vince Napoli that picking different enemies will actually change the way Hulk swings them. So this is crazy. This is just going to allow us to further plan the way we do our combat with missions and so forth, but most importantly, choosing which enemies to go after first. Now, it hasn't actually been confirmed if it's, a matter of how far he can swing them and so forth, and I don't even know if we have seen this in any gameplay, but nonetheless, it is a really cool bit of information that I didn't know, and it has now officially been confirmed, so it's going to be really cool to see it. Now, from the gameplay we have seen as well, I want you guys to let me know right now in the comments below, what do you rate it out of 10? Go ahead and let me know. For me, I'm probably going to say an 8.5 personally, but you guys let me know yours below. Now, as always, let's just dive into this information, and if you could drop a like, that'd be incredible, and of course subscribe for more awesome content if you are not already subscribed. Now, new Captain America info. Now, this does come from IGN. They got to sit down with Vince Napoli and get an exclusive Q&A with him. So, to dive into this word by word, they confirm that what Crystal Dynamics have created with Captain America is clearly a deep combat system. Now, of course, we are definitely going to be able to get to play this in full, but Steve, the way he's going to re-enter the picture is definitely being kept under wraps, but Vince did offer some details on how he plays and how the team is making good use of Captain America's iconic shield. So, Vince responded by saying, "Throwing the shield is obviously so iconic and needed to feel so special. His shield throw actually has its own built-in ranged combo. It's a unique characteristic the other characters don't have, which is that his ranged attack actually works like a combo. So perfect timing as you catch it and throw it will actually increment his throws and then create different throws and reactions on the enemies." Now, he also has a special counter kickback, which is when you use his charge throw after it hits the last enemy, and if you can time the kickback ahead of the time, basically he'll jump up and kick the shield back and meet it as it's returning, and then he'll kick it back out and hit once again all the targets that you were able to target with his charge throw. Now, this is crazy. That depth, I guess, that just comes from Vince, is a desire by the team to add the skill, a sense, I guess, give a sense to us like players, right, that you can literally say you have mastered Captain America's abilities, basically. So it's not going to be something that's really simple, and he did actually elaborate more on that, saying, how can you actually feel like you've mastered the shield throw? What layers can we do where there is some amount of practice and I guess learned ability to the point where you actually do feel like an expert Captain America player? So I think this is some great info, and again, we know that all these characters, I guess you could say, are very unique in their own way, and just hearing this from Captain America alone, especially being the hidden character at the moment, I don't know if we're going to see him in the next War Table stream, which I'd imagine would be, of course, next month at some point, but nonetheless, I think this is easily going to be my #1 player over Iron Man, and I'm a big fan of Iron Man as it is, but just hearing all these details on Captain America, and because he's kept so much of a secret as well, I don't know, I'm really feeling this character. Now, with Iron Man, they said, what, of course, if he could use his weapon selection and not just in his range attacks, but basically integrate that into his melee combat and really make that a part of who he is. Now, Vince basically explains how they took Iron Man's repulsor gloves and instead of limiting them to a couple of moves and integrating basically his comic weapons into his entire combo system, they said that way you can actually see him do a lot more of the iconic posing that you see in the movies and of course the comic panels. And once they had that down, the team basically said, well, let's do the same thing with lasers. Let's give him 24 laser attacks that he could use in melee combat. And of course, we got to see this this a bit more in the recent gameplay as well. Now, just to give you an example of that, his heavy combo finisher you can unlock is a pining missile, which basically pins, or pinning missile should I say, not pining, and basically what it does is it pins the enemy and takes them off and basically propels them into the air, and then does different loops, I guess, essentially into the air, and then runs different patterns and literally sends them flying. Now, he estimated, and when I say he, I mean Vince Napoli, estimated that there are about 36 different attacks that incorporate his ranged moves, which he can basically bring into combos that focus on his standard hand-to-hand combat abilities. Now, I think this is great. Like, hands down, Iron Man and Captain America are sounding like two very, very polished characters in my opinion. Now, with Black Widow, they say she's incredibly fast and she's actually, of course, incredibly agile, but interestingly enough, she has the fastest melee attack and melee combos in the game. We know she is also able to alternate between her electric batons as her heavy attacks, and you use those differently than her melee attacks on the light button, and then of course you can switch this between multiple ranged weapons as well. Now, with Thor, it's interesting enough, right? Because Vince's history, of course, is God of War, IGN has actually said that Thor undoubtedly shares some DNA with Kratos in the recent God of War. Now, I've not played that game, but again, considering that Vince did actually work on that game, it'd make a lot of sense. Now, you can basically change the way the hammer works, I guess, if you want to call it that. So you can do it into this lobbed grenade style toss where it creates a lightning explosion and then creates a cluster bombs, or you can change it into the ability to just seek out targets in the battlefield, which is not the way its base throw works. So again, that's really interesting. And with Miss Marvel, I mean, this gif that we've literally seen yesterday just really says it all. The way she can shrink herself, grab people, of course grow insanely big and literally just crunch these people, it is looking like a really, really fun character. But again, you guys leave your thoughts on this stuff in the comments below. That is going to wrap up this one here. As always, subscribe for more awesome content if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video. Now, what we're going to get over the next couple of days in terms of information, I'm not sure, but they are definitely engaging with a lot more people now on Twitter, and they're just a lot more active in general on Twitter with what they're posting in terms of new daily content. Like recently, they've been doing a lot of GIFs, and I think it's great. I mean, it's something that they weren't doing before, so now to see that significant jump between, you know, I guess almost no marketing for the game and no interaction to being active on Twitter almost every single day is definitely some exciting news. But again, guys, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the playlist. This game's really going head to head in competition, in my opinion, with Spider-Man PS5 Miles Morales. Even though it is a standalone game and it's going to be, I guess, have about like 10 or 13 hours of the campaign, I really think as far as superhero games go, these guys are going to go head to head. And I mean, what can get even crazier is, of course, next month, as in literally any day from tomorrow onwards when I'm making this video, if of course Warner Bros go ahead and announce a Batman game, then I mean, this whole Batman and Spider-Man, Miles Morales and Avengers game, I mean, the competition is going to be great. It's something that we probably have never experienced before, so some very, very exciting stuff. But guys, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, have a ridiculously amazing day, and adios amigos.